Meetings? He had a question first.
Okay, when you're doing comics, regardless if it's web or regular type, how do you balance between your storyline, your characters, and personalized how do you balance the story without taking away the characters or the author's voice?
It's a lot of experimentation and hit and miss, honestly. I mean, you just have to sit down and, it helps to have friends who will tell you, honestly, what's going on. Like, give you actual input. Like, maybe if you're trying to do this, you're not achieving it. But most of it is just, practice and hit and miss and trying to learn from your own mistakes.
Yeah, pacing is really hard with that kind of thing. Oh, sorry, I got you. No, it's really hard because I'll have a week-long storyline I want to do, and I'll have these various different points I want to hit, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't have enough text space for this. I need at least 3 weeks to do this the way I want to do this. I want to have all these character interactions. So you kind of have to balance it. It's like new to your comics sometimes to make sure you fit, what you originally intended to do. It's really tough.
You have to learn to edit yourself.
Yeah, it sucks. It does. So I would have comics that were just, long bits of dialogue if I could. I've gotten into the phase where I really enjoy wordplay and the art's fun, but I really like the talking. And
what you really don't have to do is direct. I draw cats.
Story? I've had to edit my own too, because originally I sent him like 5 pages or something, and it's like, wow, okay, this has got 17 puns and a Greek joke, and it's an iambic pentameter, isn't it? We have 3 panels. So I have had to learn that less is more.
That's why she married me.
Oh.
I don't know, I think I'm going to have to go with James on this. I draw paraplegics.
Now with boobs.
We had a whole story arc for that, actually. It was kind of awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of the few story arcs I've actually done, and really there's not much text that can get in the way of...
It was like Kingfisher Price people suddenly sprout.
So they can't be they weren't quadriplegic. Well, okay, they were mushrooms.
Yeah, it's like the weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, but now they have a little more top heavy, so...
Now they fall down.
Awesome. I think that's the longest story arc I've ever done, and really there wasn't much text I could possibly put into that. It was just one move joke after another.
You had a man actually in the back.
Oh yeah, sorry, you did. Man, baby.
Not baby.
Little girl. You had a question. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, just kind of a follow-up question to the gentleman earlier, actually, that with longer-running comics, with some you see the characters really gain a lot of depth, and they kind of keep reinventing themselves. For example, yourself, the characters finding directions to grow and contrast with, say, the obvious fiction arcade where there's become more and more living. How do you kind of keep doing that more with the character, especially when you're no longer basing on yourself? Not really.
I do.
It's like the deepest question we've ever had anyone ask us on any panel.
I'm not real comfortable with that. The comic just goes where it's going to go, basically, and you can provide a certain amount of guidance.
I think if you try to keep the character from growing, you're not being true to the character.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of doing your own comic that's a webcomic that knows something is touching. You don't have to do it with DC and they're telling the same caveman Jesus joke for the last 20 years.
Oh, Marmaduke, you're such a big dog.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the problem of syndicated comics is they are stunted. At one point in time, there was growth, but they reached a point where, okay, we don't want the fans anymore. So you need to. In fact, I would be kind of sad. The character Davin isn't the same as he was the first year. He's a little calmer now, he's a little more mellow. I mean, he's still angry, but he's not what he was.
He has a girl.
For now. Oh, come on. Aubrey is actually successful in her schemes now, and kind of realizing she may not want to be. You have to let that happen. Otherwise, it's just a sitcom. and becomes the same old crap that you can read anywhere else.
Marvel.
What? That's pretty terrible one.
And it's something that it's hard too because my characters now, it definitely went from being angry to being more calm. I went from being the fanboy to being angry. I'm in that phase of my life where everything sucks and why did I do this and blah 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 blah. But I've had this character progression of I no longer am a rabid video game fanboy. I don't just go buy every game that has the word Final Fantasy on it. I actually
Yes, you do.
I bought one game this year. One game. It was Silent Hill 5. I mean, it's a year old. I don't have time to game anymore. I'm a crotchety old man. I'm not. That's the thing is, I went to that whole point of going to culinary school and getting out of that. It follows my life so kind of rigidly that my original fans aren't necessarily the same people who like the comic now because it's not what it was back then. And I think that's okay. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
A lot of people have to accept that. You do webcomic, you have to accept that the readers we have now may not be the ones you have in 2, 3, 5 years. Readership changes, and sometimes they come back, sometimes they leave forever. And there's nothing wrong with that,
Don't do backflips to make sure you keep them.
No.
Do your comic. That's the main key.
Because even, we all have had comics we've read that we stopped reading because, it wasn't for us anymore.
Right.
And it's not that it was a bad comic, it's just I'm no longer that target audience.
Sometimes the comic changes, and sometimes you change and the comic doesn't, and that it comes to be that same problem.
Right.
Well, I think that's kind of where we're at, because I was going back to our archives, and we really haven't, I wouldn't say we haven't grown, we've explored all kinds of creative boundaries, but Evidence Future is still pretty much Evidence.
They are, but their characters, I think, can deepen and broaden and generally, Evan's gotten into opera, Snooch has taken up art building, and it's gonna...
They have hobbies.
Yeah, but even in the Absurd, where we started out just, completely gag a day, that's all they did, they were just full of jokes.
I was writing it.
Well, because they're based off of our lives, semi-autobiographical, there are things happening in the background of our lives that are far more serious and far more dramatic. And because I do reflect that somewhat in the comic, the characters themselves are changing. Whereas we used to just be, two-dimensional, I am just this thing that is here to tell a joke. These characters now actually do have a personality, and they do react to certain situations in certain ways. And it's gotten to the point where, while it started out, like I said, very two-dimensional, nothing about it, gag-a-day comics, now there is an underlying story where these characters are all becoming evil, and they will be quite literally every single main character will be a supervillain.
It might be fair to say they're becoming more three-dimensional.
Yeah.
I think just because it's only a 2-year-old comic and I haven't been doing comics all that long, honestly, I started the comic out and if I look at it now, it looks kind of, I'm not going to say like a rip-off, because I finally got past my rip-off stage, which everybody has to do, but it was still like, well, this is how everybody else does it, and so the characters are not really characters that I hold any feelings for, and now it's more like, well, this is something I'm actually, giving a crap about.
Steve had a question.
Most or all of you said that Gary Larson was an influence. What is probably the number one profound thing that each of you took from Gary Larson?
Don't be afraid to be silly.
Use big words, be serious, and don't worry that you'll lose your leadership for it.
Never, ever let anyone know what your face looks like.
I don't have a profound thing. I just took the whole, be crazy. It's all right.
Don't worry about it if some people don't get the joke, someone else will.
Yeah.
If he had lost her, people like, I don't get it. But he's just like, that's the best thing ever.
So I think that the number one thing is subtlety. Subtlety sometimes is much, much better than over clarity.
At the same time, sometimes the count of makeup is just a count of makeup.
Well,